What's up, guys? Welcome to Film and TV Weekly, the weekly film and TV show giving you all the top news and views that you need to know. If you like what you see, you can give me a subscription on YouTube, a thumbs up, and you can leave a comment and feedback down below. But you can also go to Twitter and Instagram and give me a follow at _Grant Burton. Any sort of support will really be appreciated. But that's not what you're here for right now, because now it's time to get on with the show and the news. Artemis Fowl, the newest film from Kenneth Branagh, and I happen to know absolutely nothing about this film, which is saying something. I'm getting a lot of John Carpenter and Tomorrowland vibes from this trailer, in that they're Disney movies that didn't really do that well. I think this is probably going to get lost in the crowd. The fact that I don't know anything about it probably means a lot of other people have never even heard of it. Last week, I told you about 2 more Spider-Man films swinging their way into cinemas. Well, guess what? This week, there are 2 more Spider-Man films swinging their way into cinemas. Mike Fleming Jr. at Deadline reports that Sony Pictures is working on a Spider-Woman film that will focus on 3 generations of women with spider powers. The studio is also moving forward with a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse that will continue Miles Morales' story. How much Spider-Man is too much Spider-Man? Well, Sony's being pretty smart about it by distancing themselves from the MCU to avoid confusion. These are animated movies. They've got Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker, although Peter Parker is still Into the Spider-Verse. So, very smart. Make sure they're different. Make sure audiences are aware that they're not connected at all. It's a shame they're not doing the same with their live-action works such as Venom, because Venom should not really exist without Spider-Man. And there isn't a Spider-Man in that universe. Anyhow, Into the Spider-Verse is getting brilliant reviews. It looks like it's going to be one of the best films of the year, maybe, and I can't wait to see it. I might be seeing it next week. Sony's clearly confident in it by greenlighting a sequel and a spin-off before the film even comes out, so that kind of says it all. Nelly Andreeva at Deadline states that Netflix has greenlit a 10-episode live-action adaptation of the greatest, or one of the greatest, animated shows ever made, Cowboy Bebop. As long as they can get the tone right, get in all those jazz elements and make it very stylish, quirky and full of character, and a big budget that will get them the ability to pull off all the props, special effects and science fiction elements, I'm all for this. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Netflix is adding even more to its ever-increasing catalogue of big-name content. This time the works of Roald Dahl are being adapted into an animated event series. These include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The BFG, and Matilda. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a classic. It's a film that should never be remade, rebooted, or altered in any way, shape or form. Sadly, Tim Burton and Johnny Depp didn't see it that way, and they made the terrible Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. An animated version, meanwhile, could be quite interesting because they can adapt the book more faithfully, they can give it a good unique look and style, and all the other works of Roald Dahl would make sense in animated form. This could be quite interesting. The Spies are sneaking their way back into cinemas because there's not 1 but 2 Kingsman films in production and a TV show. We have the prequel movie being shot by Matthew Vaughn in January, that's being described as a period drama, but we also have Kingsman 3, which is being written and will star returning leads Taron Egerton and Colin Firth. There's also a Kingsman TV show in the works that aims to be complementary to the film series, but different enough. This is according to Steve Weintraub from Collider. I hope you like Kingsman because you're getting a lot more of it. I liked the first one, the second one was alright. The big problem with the second one is that they brought a character back from the death, and that just did not make any sense whatsoever. That being said, I'm not exactly clamouring for more Kingsman. I could very well do with just the 2 that I've got already. I don't need a third one, I don't need a prequel, I don't need a TV show. But they could work out pretty well. Now it's time for the worst news of the week. The brilliant Daredevil has been cancelled over at Netflix after 3 seasons. This was one of Netflix's biggest shows in production, and one of its most popular shows in production. It done really well, both in terms of audience and as well as critical reception, particularly season 3, so why cancel it? With the Disney streaming service on the way, called Disney Plus, it looks like Disney's wanting to get a hold of all of its properties so it can put them all on one platform. That being said, Disney have said they won't have R-rated, mature, adult content on that service. So Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones and The Punisher probably not going to transfer over to there. And if they do, they're going to probably be very different tonally, visually, and they might not even be related to the seasons we've already got, in that they might not have the same cast, story, or anything else of that nature. So is this the end of Daredevil? Not necessarily. Disney have came out and said that they will continue the stories of Daredevil, but they're a little iffy on the specifics of it, and they're not exactly saying that it'll be season 4 of Daredevil, or that it'll even have the same cast or characters. That means that Jessica Jones and The Punisher are the last standing Marvel shows at Netflix. The Punisher season 2 is in production, Jessica Jones season 3 is in production. You've got to assume now that their big flagship show, the most successful of their Marvel shows, has been cancelled. Punisher and Jessica Jones, they're not going to last longer than the seasons that are currently in production. The worst news of all this, of course, is that these are damn good shows, particularly Daredevil. I really like Punisher, he's one of my favourite superheroes, so I'm a little biased there. Jessica Jones season 1 was good, season 2 was a little iffy. Luke Cage and Iron Fist I could do without though. I hope you like bugs and superheroes, because there's a superhero film about a small, pesky little insect on the way. No, it's not Ant-Man, it's the Blue Beetle. Over at The Wrap, Humberto Gonzalez says that the Blue Beetle movie is in the works at DC and Warner Brothers, with the director of Universal's Scarface set to make it. This will be the first ever superhero movie with a Latino lead. I don't know much about Blue Beetle. I know a lot of people do like him. I think it's a big deal that it's the first ever superhero film with a Latino lead. Great news, increasing that diversity and representation. Why not? Of course, the whole DCEU in recent years has kind of bugged me. Blade Runner isn't over yet, despite the last film bombing at the box office. The Blade Runner franchise will continue as an anime show, because we are getting Blade Runner Black Lotus. The series is set to take place in 2032, focusing on a separate story in the Blade Runner universe, and it may feature some familiar characters from the series of films. It'll feature 13 30-minute episodes, and it'll air on Adult Swim, with streaming rights going to Crunchyroll. As far as I'm concerned, Blade Runner 2049 is a masterpiece, one of my favourite films of all time, and I think it's far better than the original. When Blade Runner 2049 came out, there was an animated short film released alongside it that was supposed to bridge the gap between Blade Runner and 2049. Personally, of all the short films that were released between Blade Runner and 2049, the anime one was my least favourite. But I do think this franchise should continue, and I'm really interested to see how it does that. Thanks for watching Filament TV Weekly. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give me a subscription on YouTube, a thumbs up, and you can leave a comment and feedback down below. You can also go to Twitter and Instagram and give me a follow at _Grant Burton. Next week there might not be an episode, but hopefully you'll get something. But I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Thanks for watching.